everybody's, going to be really good to go. Darius, hopefully waiting for good news about being able to have a little boy today, and so that'll be awesome, and then he'll be ready to roll once everything's taken care of there. But other than that, Kevin Dotson will be limited, as will Puka Nacua. Excited to get K-Dot out there, see how he's feeling, and ready to go.
Do you expect to kind of keep him limited throughout the week, or how are you going to progress him?
Well, I think we're going to see how he goes. Tomorrow's really the first real practice, so this is kind of semantics, but he's got a good look in his eye. I know his intentions are, to be able to go play and go do his thing, and so we're excited about that. But tomorrow I'll have a real good gauge because we'll really test it. We'll put the pads on, and, Thursdays are normally our heavier volume day anyways.
In your experience in the league in general and then with this team, do you have to taper your offensive game plan when you're getting weather like what we're expecting to hear about in Chicago?
Not necessarily. I think what you do is if how the actual just cold in general in terms of how the ball feels, but last year was a great example of, we had two really cold games. The Jets game was even colder than the Eagles game. It was too damn cold in New York to even snow that day. But fortunately, Matthew's played in these conditions. And so doesn't change. There's a couple things you have to be mindful of. But now you start talking about wind, rain, and how that really affects your footing, stuff like that. But we always kind of adjust and adapt. They got to be able to play in those same sort of elements. They obviously have had a little bit more experience, but we're not going to allow that to be an excuse. And so I think you do have to have a feel, but I think the way that our guys play, I think it suits us well in any sort of conditions, and that's kind of what we've always said.
Is there a different approach, though, with the fact that you're practicing in 80-degree weather for a few days and then boom, straight to that?
What we're going to do is we're going to get the biggest cold plunge ever, and everybody's going to see if we can sit in that thing for 3 hours, okay? Here's the thing, and this is what I've been pleased with, is I think we've handled those things well. We're not going to sit here and waste our emotional energy on things that we can't control. I don't have a weather machine, stuff like that. We do have a lot of guys that have been accustomed to playing in these types of, situations, whether it's previous teams or whether it be just where they played their college ball in outdoor stadiums. And so I think it's about, we talk about mental toughness all the time and really controlling the things that we can control. Let's be present in that 3.5 hour window. Let's control the things that we can control. When you're not on the field, stay warm. And then when you're out there, your adrenaline kicks in. And then let's be mindful of, all right, the ball is obviously a little bit slicker. It feels like a rock. But other than that, let's freaking roll.
Is Matthew's hand still good to go?
No, did you guys not see? He's ruled out. Yeah, he's good. He's good. Golly, that wasn't funny, huh? So, no, he's good. I mean, and you guys will talk to him later, but he's as tough as it gets. And, I think the best illustration of how he's feeling is he threw a freaking piss missile right after he ended up getting it, and it was a dot. That thing came out like a cannonball the other day, so he's feeling good.
Sean, with that ball being that was too hard as a rock, it's super cold, could that affect Matthew's ability to perfect throw it?
He'd be better equipped to, there are some different things, but, he's played in these types of atmospheres and environments. And, so those are the things that we have that dialogue. Most importantly is how does he feel? So he's the one that's got to be able to answer that. And then if we have to adjust or adapt accordingly. But I think about both of those games that we just most recently had, those types of weather, and wasn't an issue in Philly, wasn't an issue in New York.
Matt LaFleur, obviously big in Green Bay, and Mike being on your staff.
Yeah.
He's played Ben Johnson 3 times this year.
Yeah. What would you guess? No, you know what? We watch the tape, we do our work, and Matt is a very close friend of mine.
When you
I think
look,
you touched on this a bit after the Carolina game, but you guys have these stretches where you look like the best team in football, and then the momentum starts going the other way,
Yep.
and it kind of starts snowballing. It seems to have happened quite a bit, like in recent weeks. But
What do you think the difference was in the other day? Found a way, right? So here's the thing I would say is the enemy has a say, and that has been where we think our scars can be our strengths, Dylan. And I look at it, after the Seattle game, we had the lead. They did a great job being able to finish. We didn't do some of those things. I want us to play consistent for 60 minutes, but you do have to have respect and appreciation for how difficult what the other team's trying to do. And Carolina made their plays. There's some things that I think we can control, particularly the pre-snap issues, some of the post-snap stuff. We'll clean that up. That's not going to be an issue for us. What I loved about what happened the other day was, hey, no doubt about it. We started fast. You get up to a 14-0 lead, and then they made their plays. There was a little bit of a lull like you're talking about. we go down 4, and then in some of those other games, that's where we didn't find a way to be able to finish. What I was pleased with, single elimination tournament, survive and advance. We had we did a great job, 7 plays, go score, unbelievable play by Matthew and Colby, great protection. There was a lot. The 6 plays preceding that were really good. Then I love the fact that, all right, well, what's going to happen next? We go kick off, we cover, we pin them inside the 30, and then 4 plays later, we're taking a knee because our defense doesn't allow them to be able to get a yard. So, of course, I'm right there with you. I want us to play great for 60 minutes, but what I'm also encouraged about is that in some of those other games that you're talking about, we didn't find a way to finish, and we did do that. So I think you can take some confidence and some understanding of how to be able to apply it, and that's what I was pleased with. But are we looking for consistent execution for a full 60? No doubt about it. And we're going to continue to strive for that, and maybe this week is the week.
What challenges is Caleb Williams was at?
Man, he is, I think he's doing a great job of, he can obviously make a bunch of different plays with his legs. I think he sees things well. He's got an understanding of some of the concepts that Coach Johnson's activating, gets a bunch of different playmakers involved. And, it's one thing where you see him play in time and in rhythm, good accuracy and anticipation, but then some of those second reaction plays where he's getting flushed to his right or getting flushed to his left, and guys understand how to be able to work with him. Those are the ones that, are really scary, but he's playing at a high clip. And then you talk about a team that's figured out a way to be able to finish games, create explosives, and then they've done an excellent job of capitalizing on taking the ball away defensively, and then on the flip side, taking care of it offensively. And so it's going to take a full 60, and this team has finished as well as anybody, which is why they're in this position. You're welcome.
Bears have such a variety of pass catchers. What type of stress does that put on us?
Puts a lot. I think they do a great job using all 5 eligibles. And so, you can really see that was something that, I talked a little bit about it earlier in the week. Best offenses use all 5 eligibles. Ben does a good job of being able to create matchups. They mix up their personnels. They've got backs that can obviously run the football, but they've got skills in the pass game, tight ends and receivers that can do the same thing. And so it's a great challenge. I think it's always the most difficult when you got to defend all 5 eligibles, the width and depth of the field, and they do a good job stressing you in a variety of different ways.
Sean, Caleb was sacked 68 times last year, and I think just 24 this year. Specifically to that, what have you seen in his game from one year to the next?
Well, I think maturity, understanding of what they're trying to do. I think he does a nice job, too, when, they're activating some of their stuff on early downs of being able to keep the ball in play, finding check downs. And so I just think, it's like anything else. These conscientious, these mature, these really good players, they just get better and they learn from different things. I think there's a good rapport that exists between he and the coaching staff that you can see there's a comfort, there's an understanding. And, if you use it the right way, repetition is the mother of learning, and he's done a really good job.
You talked about
how you emphasized sleep in recent years and getting on a routine like that. How has that, been challenged by having the second kid, and how do you balance all of that this time of year?
Yeah, you know what? It's great. I've got a really selfless wife, and so we're really blessed to be able to have, basically like our little sister Kendall. My wife Veronica does an incredible job, and so I get a chance to be able to get my rest, and then in the off season, then I'll be really put to work. But I'm usually it's crazy. I would say my sleep schedule is I usually go to bed when my 2-year-old son does, and I'm getting up a little bit earlier than him, but I'm getting my rest, and very fortunate to have my wife run the show and be as selfless and as understanding as she is. But I always enjoy being able to get that time when I can. And then the off season, hopefully not for a few more weeks, I'll really look forward to getting some good quality time with them.
On Monday, you talked about the gratitude
I'll come back to you.
that he has for coming into the league with Cooper Cup in the receivers room. Now he has Davante.
Yeah.
How have you seen those two specifically rub off on him?
Well, I think these are 2 special players above the neck, and obviously their physical preparation. And I think both of them have, different personalities, but they're pros. They're really willing to share. They've got a lot of wisdom. And so I think he's been really fortunate to be around, 2 great players that were willing to share. It's one thing to be around somebody. It's another thing to be able to have that willingness and that ability to have high-level communication, them have a big picture understanding, not exclusively through the lens of a receiver. And he's willing to listen. I think the best people are the ones that are never-ending learners. They're, interested people are interesting. And so he's interested. So, hey, they want to be able to teach him, and I think they both take a lot of pride in being able to do that. And to his credit, he's taken that. He's got the right kind of humility and the right kind of curiosity, and I think those are usually recipes for success.
On Monday, you talked about how your fourth down decision making hasn't necessarily evolved, but it's just about trusting the players to execute.
Sure.
Just in terms of how you have done that, is there anything specifically this year that has come about that has?
Yeah, and I don't know that I would say evolved. It has evolved because I think you take the information, you use analytics, you want to make sure. I mean, you look at just the rest of the league and you don't want to be behind the curve. And so ultimately it is about how do you win the football game. And the only way to do that is to be able to score more points. And so you're seeing a lot more aggressiveness from teams, particularly when they cross midfield. And then I think there are certain decisions where you talk about, obviously the 4th and 3 is the one that comes up the other day. In the moment, do I understand why I would be questioned for that instead of just taking the points? 100%. In that moment, you reflect on, all right, what's the thought process? What did we really want to be able to do going into it? Felt good about the play. They did a good job. We didn't end up executing, but felt convicted in that and felt like that was an opportunity for us to really open that game up, knowing that we were going to get it starting the second half as well. Didn't go down for us. They ended up making it a 3-point game by going and scoring after that. But I think what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're not making emotional decisions. You're using your preparation. You're staying true to that while also considering, all right, the flow of the game, the weather, some of the wind. I mean, it was windy and gusty, during that point in time as well. And so that does have somewhat of a factor in the decision making, even though Mevis is just, true as it gets right down the pipe. But it has been evolving. And you've seen the last 2 years, we've hired people that are individually responsible for assisting and helping me manage the game, and guys that I trust tremendously. Stretch obviously doing a great job in New England, and then Smashball coming in here. And so those are areas where I'm not going to run away from. I haven't done a great job, particularly with some of the timeout usage or things like that. And I think we've improved, but the 4th down stuff, I think it's served us well over the years or over this particular season. And, we'll continue to lean into that.
Does that equation change at all when you're playing a high-scoring offense like Chicago?
It does. Yeah, all those things go into it.
Coach, in each of the last 5 years, your teams have been the least penalized. Why do you think your team is disciplined? And then why do you think you guys might have struggled with that on Sunday?
Yeah, no, it's why I was, disappointed, because that's not necessarily in alignment with who we've been when we've been at our best. Number one, it's a credit to the players. I think the coaches deserve a tremendous amount of credit. You get what you emphasize, and we've got conscientious players that bring it to life. If you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us, and you're going to earn everything that you get. And that's why some of those things the other day, Aaron, really, I don't want to say, it bothered me, and we're better than that. And so we're going to learn from it. We're going to apply it. Fortunately, we were able to overcome it. We won't be able to do that as you get later on in the tournament. And so those are things that we can control. I think you want to inspire guys to be able to fix it. It's not about, like we've talked about, it's like, how do you inspire people to want to do it right the next time and make sure that there's that discipline, that accountability. But that's a cool stat, and one that I think our players should take a tremendous amount of pride in. But that's maturity, discipline, accountability. And, I want to be able to see us, do what we've been accustomed to doing against the Bears this week, because if not, they feast on those types of mistakes.
Last two guys, how concerned, if at all, are you about special teams?
Well, I think here's what I would say. The one play that, obviously is the one you guys want to talk about. That was that was disappointing, but that was one guy, so I don't think that's necessarily a reflection of the totality. And that's why football is the greatest team sport. And this player, Tanner had done an awesome job in a lot of other phases, making great tackles and kickoff coverage. Just left a little bit earlier, and Isaiah Simmons did a nice job, away from where the overload was. And so it's a learning op. I don't think that's a reflection of the totality. You want to be honest of, hey, we didn't execute right there, but all right, where can we improve one person right there that will change what that outcome of that play would have been? And so I've been pleased with a lot of areas. That particular play, no, I wasn't obviously pleased with that. I want us to be better. But I think what you want to be careful to do, Gary, is be overly emotional on, well, let's look at what really occurred, and is this consistent with what we've seen over the last couple weeks, or is this kind of an outlier? And it's more of the latter than the first part.
Hey, last one, Sean. In the kicking game, being 80 degrees, so you go to a cold field, obviously, with the ball being flies differently.
Yeah.
Is there a way to prepare the kicking game for a cold field?
Not unless you got, we can go get into an ice freezer, the size of this. And so I was kind of asked about that earlier. we worry about the things that we can control. We do have a lot of guys that have played in some of these cold weather atmospheres and environments, and you're not naive to it, but I also think you don't want to be, so aware of it that it inhibits or paralyzes your ability to be able to move forward. It gets pretty damn cold in Missouri, so I think Mevis has kicked some of these kicks before, but it's not something that we can control, so I'm not going to waste my emotional energy on it.
More like the ball, obviously, more of a rock.
Oh, yeah, it feels like a rock.
So you throw a ball.
We are going to supplement practice with a big rock instead of football this week. So, all right. Thanks, guys.
Your experiences playing Lambeau, Soldier Field, bad weather, what have you taken out of those previous? How does it affect your game?
Yeah, I mean, I think each game is kind of unique, right? You can't just bunch them all together. Played in Philly back in the day, there was 6 inches of snow on the ground. Played in other games where it's just cold and dry. I mean, you just got to go figure out what the elements are, how it's going to affect the ball, go play. We had wind last week. What's that like? How's the ball moving when you throw it down the field, all those kind of things. So you just kind of figure it out as you go. Each one is its own unique set of circumstances. I know that both teams are playing in it. You just go out there and execute the best you can. I know Sean and I will be in constant dialogue on, hey, how do we want to call this game? How do we want to get this thing going to give ourselves the best chance to go out there and be successful?
Sean said you told him about wearing a scuba suit in a couple games at Lambeau.
Yeah.
Will you wear a scuba suit? And how does it affect how you feel?
Yeah, I have like a thing that I brought with me when I was in Detroit that I wear. I've worn it quite a few times since I've been here. It keeps you warmer. That's how it affects me. I mean, there's no like, oh, no. It's not like that, skin tight or anything like that.
Matthew, some teams like to prep for cold with a colder situation. Does that matter to you at all? It's going to be in the 80s all week.
Yeah, I mean, we can't do anything about that. We just go practice.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We don't care what the weather is here, what it is there. Just go play. Got to prepare, have a good week of preparation. We're going to do that, to give ourselves the best chance to go out there and succeed.
How is the
Great.
And then just with the ball being what its pulse is going to be, do you think that could have any effect on just how it feels?
No, I don't think so. I think it should be good.
Will you wear anything on it?
No.
Did you have any, when we saw you after the game, it looked like you were having no problem, no discomfort with your hand.
Yeah.
But did you have any residual swelling?
No, we did a good job just kind of jumping on it, wrapping it for the play and all that kind of stuff. And it, whatever was there is gone now. Feels good.
The Bears have had a lot of comeback wins this year. You've obviously been the quarterback in a lot of those situations as well, including last week. When a team is up big and you get back into the game, what is the emotional, I guess the feeling of like, yeah, we could go back and win this game coming back from a big...
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel like you're never out of a game until, clock's over or there's just obvious, not going to be enough time. But if there's time on the clock, feel great about it. And emotion is great. You score a touchdown, maybe you score another, whatever you need to get done. That emotion is great, but you got to go out there and execute. It doesn't matter if you score the first touchdown, everybody gets all fired up, and then, you don't do anything else the rest of the day. So it's execution. You've seen their team. They've made plays really on in all three phases to help them win those come-from-behind games. You got to give them a lot of credit. They've got a quarterback, a team, a coach that all, they believe in each other, and as they should. They've proven it a bunch of times this year.
Matthew, as much as you'd like to win by 2 touchdowns every game, and the way you won the last game, is there something about, hey, this is going to give us a different feel for we need to be really more on top of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think the goal to, especially this time of year, but the goal in every game is to go find a way to win that football game. And, sometimes those things happen in, fashion where you don't need to do anything special in the fourth quarter. You got to go out there and hold on to the lead that you already got. But, and sometimes you need to go make plays, late in the game to try and win it. So, obviously, we want to go out there and play as clean and as precise of football as we possibly can. Sometimes that doesn't happen throughout the game. I love that our team doesn't really ride those ebbs and flows. We just stay steady and understand that, hey, next drive, next play, whatever it is, and that's, served us really well, and I think it will moving forward. Went on the road, scored 34 last week. Hope to go, play good on offense again, play good on defense, play good on special teams, and find a way to win.
Matthew, Dotson trending towards being back. What type of attitude does he bring to this offense?
I mean, he's a mountain of a man. He's a beast. when he was playing this year, I thought he was one of the best guards, if not the best guard in the league. So, if we can get him back, obviously that would be a huge boost. His physicality, his ability to go out there and play is great, but also just the energy he brings. I don't know if you guys see him celebrating sometimes when we do good stuff. So he's a great guy to have out there and be around. But if not, I thought Didic played really well last week, and we'll roll with him again.
When you face a team like the Bears that have been so good at taking the football away, do you place extra emphasis on taking care of the ball, or kind of how do you approach it?
Yeah, that's kind of how they've thrived. Got a bunch of points off of turnovers. They've done a great job turning it over, like you said, leading the league in those kind of categories. I think it boils down to who their players are. They've got a really good back end, talented back end that catches the ball when it's in their area. They do a nice job up front as well, affecting the pocket. So it'll be a big challenge for us every week. Is in this league. It's such a crucial stat, as we all know. It's points, then turnovers. So try to make sure that we do the best that we can to, still play aggressive and all that, but be sound with the football and make sure that we're in every drive with an extra point or a field goal or a punt, something like that.
As long as you've been playing, and only a handful of times you're in this Final Four of the NFC, how difficult is it to stay true to consistency and not let the outside noise get to you, and does it feel different this week? No,
it's not hard for me at all, to be honest with you. You could have told me everybody's still playing, I'd have believed you. So, I'm just worried about our game that we got in front of us, and I think that serves me well. I kind of live in that tunnel vision all season, and it's the best way for me. I know a lot of guys on our team, I feel like, end up being that way as well. So, we got nothing else to think about except for the Chicago Bears. We got a big test going on the road, try to beat a really good team. So, that's where our focus is, and to be honest with you, it's not too hard to stay that way.
Puka's talked about.
What's up?
Yep. Is there anything on a certain level that's fun about playing in the kinds of conditions that you guys are going to have to do this in?
I think so. I love NFL football and the history of it, and Lambeau Field and the Ice Bowl, all those kind of things. There's something to it, right? That feels right when football's outdoors. You're playing it late in the year. It's cold. It means a lot. So I'm embracing it. I know our team is as well. Looking forward to the opportunity. I know it's going to be a great crowd there, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Davante, you're a Green Bay guy for so long. Now you're going into this cold. Is there anything you can tell the guys that that they don't about playing in these conditions?
Not really. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be cold. Different people got tricks to the trade, but I just go out there. I've never worn sleeves in a game in my career, so it is what it is. It's going to be freezing out there, but you just got to figure it out.
Bring it on.
Correct.
Having a game under your belt after coming back from the hammy, do you feel like maybe you're I don't want to say you're off a step in the Carolina game, but do you feel like maybe you're a little bit more progressed now heading into this week?
Yeah, I think some of it is. There's going to be a little bit of rust, obviously. Not anytime you take a little bit of time away from, the game action, it takes you a little bit of time to get back into it. Like I said it after the game, I don't think I played great, but I don't know how much I would attribute it to missing a few weeks, maybe some of it, but yeah, got our feet back wet, and it's just part of the process. Sometimes you need to brush a few of them off and then get back out there, and you come back a little cleaner.
Did you know or did you tell the game if Matthew Stafford this week or at all?
No, I didn't know that until after the game.
Ball was asleep.
Yeah, he's not wanting to make a big deal out of stuff like that. I'm sure they just got it dealt with under, on the low and try to get him back out there.
You signed here, Puka is very excited. He's like to learn from you. How have you seen either the questions he's asked or how have you seen him kind of steward that information?
Really, it's just day to day. It's not like one instance. It's just it started really with, him trying to get me to lead the lines and get out there so he can watch me versus running out and then trying to turn around and watch. So, that's been like the common theme with him since I've been here, is just being an open vessel, always being open and willing to learn. And, I assert myself when it's time as far as, giving unsolicited advice. But a lot of times these guys just bring up certain things, or naturally, organically, it'll find a way to, present itself, or moments for me to come forward as a leader and help out. But all these guys are that way. It's not just Puka, though, and I learned a lot from him too, so it kind of goes both ways.
Think about the two of you guys on the field. How do you feel like you guys have complemented each other with skill
Yeah, I mean, I think we're a lot different as receivers, and I mean, we accomplish the same things, but just the way we get things done is different, and the way I move, the way he moves, the way he beats man coverage, the way I beat it. So I've learned some things in the way that he does things, and I think that it's made just our team better in general, just being able to learn how he moves and some of the physicality he uses and some of the footwork that I use that I try to, shed on the rest of the room as well. So, yeah, it's great. Obviously, we're a great complement to each other because it's two great receivers that take this, game and our craft very serious and continue to build on it.
What do you remember about earlier in your career, how you improved from year to year?
Well, I mean, it was just something that I was very critical of myself, very hard on myself, and, I definitely didn't get off to a start like what Puka did, so it was a lot more to be critical about than what he can, but he still finds a way, similarly to, be hard on himself to make sure that he can continue to get better, and that's why you've seen the growth you have, in his career, but also just throughout the season, game to game this year.
Davante, as many years as you've been in the playoffs over the career and then the last few not, are you feeling this is like, wow, this is almost like a gift from heaven almost? There's a chance to really have a blast, right?
Well, it's all a gift from heaven either way. We get to play a kid's game for a king's ransom. So it's at the end of the day, I'm grateful for all the opportunities, but definitely being exposed to, just kind of getting in, and it's just a part of the normal routine. You have a greater appreciation at this point for how difficult it is to win, any game, let alone still be winning at this point in the season. So I'm fired up about another opportunity to play in the playoffs for sure.